G'day and welcome to the 54th episode of the Destiny Down Under podcast. This week, we are joined by the Hype of Osiris. That's right, Curse of Osiris reveal stream is hit. We're going to talk over everything with no interruptions, and it's going to be absolutely excellent. Trust me, because I was there and it's already happened. Cheers.
11:15.
G'day and welcome to the 54th episode of the Destiny Down Under podcast. It's just the three of us this week because guess what? There's a heap of shit to talk about. We're out operating outside of our normal standard hours. We've just had an argument about what is the best time to start things here in Australia, and we can't even come to an agreement between the three of us. So we're calling it all off. But this week, we've gone off prematurely on the podcast. Sloth says it's not an issue. Happens to him all the time. So we're just going to roll on with it. Make the most of it. And I don't know. We might be the first podcast to fucking cover off on all this shit that's been released today, boys. So first things first. How good's that, the trailer?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It made me harder than calculus. Maybe it's a bad thing that we don't have a guest because I'm on my worst behaviour.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get into it. I hadn't watched it, right? Because for us it was early in the morning.
Yeah.
In Australia that it was released, and just my Twitter vibes were going off, just seeing some responses, and I thought it was going to be horrible. Like just the impression I got from Twitter, but when I actually watched it, I was like, oh, I was actually very. It was like when someone tells you like a movie's hell shit, and you watch it, and you think it's pretty good. It was a bit like that this morning.
Yeah, I mean, maybe having expectations set low helped because then it seems higher, right?
Yeah, but I think we'll get to a detailed analysis in a sec. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it is good to be back in the swing of these sort of things. It was good to see Deej on his lounge, talking to the people and all that sort of shit. So, I don't know. I mean, we don't have this is just our focus. We're just going to be talking about this, so it's kind of cool.
Dude, I've got pages of notes on this. So should we just jump into it?
You know what? Let's.
Let's fuck it. Let's.
In the words of the great man sitting in the box to my bottom right, let's fuck this chook. Let's get stuck into it. Don't argue it. You say it all the time.
All right. So, can I just say a couple? Overall, amazing. Yes. Overall, I feel like it is very true to the Vex lore from Destiny 1. I feel like they've gone down a storyline which is just can be very imaginative, very engaging, and I hope it succeeds in that aspect. But there were a couple things, and only a couple things. I want to get these complaints because I'm always a complaining guy recently. I want to get these ones out the way, and then it's just pretty much all uphill. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So, firstly, Osiris's voice has been changed. Completely different character. We did get a Osiris voiceover in Destiny 1. I think it was a shrine. In the shrine of Osiris, he talks to us through the ghost.
Right.
I think it's once in D1, completely different voice. Fine, whatever. Okay, that sort of reconfirms that D1 lore is debatable, which sort of makes me happy and sad at the same time.
Either that or they just sort of didn't feel that whoever the voice actor was, that might have been tacked on, if you know what I mean, and they really wanted someone that could bring stronger characterization to it. Someone, you got to remember that to try and carry that sort of, it's easy to forget that Nathan Fillion's a fucking world-class actor and he's there doing the voice for Cade, and that's a huge part of why he's such an engaging character. So, I see your point, and I don't like seeing things change like that either, but I also think that it can definitely be a positive in that, this dude who's doing it now could be absolutely killer.
I don't think it's a negative. I just think it provides information for how we should look at Destiny 1. Do you know, like, I think for a lot of my audience, I often talk about it like it's gospel, but at the end of the day, you have decisions like this, and it sort of reconfirms that, exactly what Luke Smith said, that the foundation is there, but we're going to change stuff. And I think this is going in a great direction. I just think it's interesting to bring that up and go, hey, like voice actors changed, and Osiris was the main character, so it sort of makes you think like, in D1 was he not meant like had they not planned like vanilla? Obviously, he wasn't going to be this main storyline character, and then now he is because. You know, it'd be like imagine if Cade 6 changed. No, Cade 6 was always meant to be the main character. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was obviously like a side quest character that built so much interest that now we've got like a whole DLC around. Anyway, they're the two things I'll take away from that. What are you going to say, Sloth?
Well, there's been a few things that are brought up in chat. So the change of the voice actor could have been due to the voice actor strike that is currently happening in the US. And then another point was made. The voice actor originally for Osiris and they dumped one actor credit. Now I don't know how true this is. I'm just going to take it on faith. This particular person in chat said so. He's more of a writer of plays than an actor. It could have been a last moment thing. Yeah. But the thing that I most agree with right now is that I would absolutely argue that changing Peter Dinklage for Nolan North was a bigger change than what we could have seen for Osiris. So
true.
It's not a like everyone. I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of people forget that Dinklebot or Peter Dinklage was the original voice actor for D1. A lot of people have forgotten that.
How long was he the voice of the Ghost for? Like a year and a half?
A year and a half, yeah.
And I've completely forgotten about it. I'm like, oh.
Great.
Oh, God. My memory.
I didn't watch the thing. I haven't watched the reveal trailer. I probably won't watch the reveal trailer. But I did go to Reddit. I was linked to a Reddit thread of all of the things that could happen and all that sort of thing, which is kind of it's a good read. Go to the Destiny Reddit thread, Destiny Reddit, and it should be one of the pinned threads. But it's a good read. A lot of the issues that we have with the game at this point in time have been not rectified, but have been promised to be rectified.
They've been addressed, if nothing else.
They have been addressed
and acknowledged.
And Log and I were talking pre-cast, and we both said it's very exciting to see where the game is going now. It is very exciting.
Do you reckon they're addressed? Can we label some of those things that have been addressed? Because
go for it.
I guess when I woke up, for whatever reason, I just saw negative stuff, but it wasn't really reflective. Like I went into my streamer this morning just expecting to get trolls in and just raging, and it didn't happen. I was like, oh, everyone seems pretty happy. But what I did see, so when I went back and watched the reveal trailer and looked at the Twitch comments going through, the main complaint that I saw from, like, if I was watching it live, what the probably feeling I would have got from seeing it with the Twitch chat was people saying that it's another reskin for the raid. And I think I completely disagree, but that's what I saw popping up was like, this should have been released in vanilla. This should have been released with the first thing. They're just putting another price tag is bullshit. You have to pay, it's not even adding a thing. It's just another boss. They're literally making you pay for another boss in the Leviathan raid. That was the only real main thing that I saw. And I guess there were a lot of comments about endgame as well. A lot of people were saying like, what's a motivation, and like talk about the loot a little bit more and that kind of thing. And they sort of danced around that a little bit.
You know what? There are a few things that people are worried about. No, I do fully understand the concerns, but we've just got to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think touching on that, look, we're probably best just to get through, like, talk our way through it, and then address the concerns of people about these things as we get to the specific parts, because otherwise we're going to talk in circles for like 10 million years. But for the most part, by the time I had time to get on and look at things, people by and large were like pretty positive about. Even in Reddit, people were like, I can really see this as, it's got potential to go somewhere. Maybe that's just because all the angry people have already left. Or maybe there's little merits of truth. but who knows? So if we want to start, I guess we'll
right,
start with Osiris. Basically, the setup of the story: Osiris is trapped in is that right, Matt? That he's trapped in the infinite forest.
Okay.
Right. What? Okay. Why am I explaining this when you're sitting there?
This is okay. So he has gone into the infinite forest. The vault of glass that we saw was explained by the narrative lead Christine Thompson as a simulation run by the Vex. And so what it looks like from what we've seen is the infinite forest is almost like a little bit of a hub world that leads to other timelines. And this is like the center of the Vex, where they can see their future, they can see the present, and they can see the past. And what it looks like Osiris is doing is jumping into different simulations and goofing around. We don't know exactly what he's after yet, but there is firstly, guys, there's going to be spoilers in here because I think they gave a lot around the story, and I was taking a lot of notes. So, like, this is your warning now. If you don't want spoilers for Curse of Osiris, leave now. Okay, that's your warning.
Spoilers. Go.
So basically, Christine said that when we had the end cutscene and the traveler awoke, and we had this ripple of light through the galaxy, that was what the Vex were after. That did something. And the Vex were waiting for that, and Osiris knows what that is too. So at the moment, it seems like a rat race between Osiris jumping through these simulations and the Vex, and whatever the Traveler did to cause that ripple effect. We don't know what that is, and they were very sort of cryptic about that, but just saying Osiris is after it too. And the Vex were, her exact words, the Vex were waiting for that to happen. So, that's the simulation. The simulations and the Infinite Forest looks like a little bit of a hub world that we'll use to go to different timelines.
Outstanding. I mean, it's even watching the playthrough. So it's basically they've bought out Mercury and set this up in there, for want of a better description. They've redesigned Mercury in their own image to facilitate this, I don't know, device, or for want of a better term. So the actual spaces in themselves, you've got the surface of Mercury where the lighthouse is, and then the inside where you're looking up at the mantle of the planet. It looks fucking crazy. But
so they have the lighthouse, and then there's like it looked like a very small playable space outside the lighthouse where you have some public events. Yeah. And then they're like, this is the gate that goes to the infinite forest. And then they went through that gate, and then Deej stood at the top of that and said, we're not going to show you here, but on the right is like future Mercury. In the middle is like current Mercury, and on the left is past Mercury. And there was these, what they call trees, but they're like giant confluxes. And they had like the triangle sort of doors to go through. So that's what they showed as well on Mercury.
It looks unreal. I can't wait for it. But
I
mean, do we dig into the man himself? What we've sort of learned about Osiris? I mean, it is his expansion, and I mean, I'm really hoping that they continue with this kind of like. I think in the past, Destiny expansions have been characterized by the villain. To be able to like come in and I'm not saying that Osiris is inherently, I mean, you assume he's a good guy because he's a guardian at the end of the day, but yeah. I like this whole I'm praying that in a year's time we're talking about a Saint 14 equivalent of this, of just the badass Titan version of Curse of Osiris. But so Osiris himself, he's Zavala's predecessor, right? And he was exiled by the Speaker for having some pretty kooky ideas, or at least according to the Speaker.
They confirmed that nicely, so that's sort of one bit of D1 lore we can tick off. So they definitely said that he was the Vanguard commander prior to Zavala, before he left the tower. So that's nice. That's in D1 lore.
The other thing is that he, like, aesthetic wise, he's definitely like using Vex gear, kind of like, I'm not sure how best to word it, but maybe he's like appropriating Vex technology into his gear as it is.
Yep.
So it looks crazy.
Yeah. Which is what I spoke about in my Osiris video, that look at his gauntlets, they got Vex radiolara fluid in it, and they basically confirm that he's molded Vex technology into his armor and weapons, and that we will also do the same thing. We will actually have, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but we will do the same thing of forging weapons with Vex technology, and I hope they go into the deep lore about that. I've always suspected that that's where he gets some of his powers from to time travel. If you look at like the Vex gauntlets and stuff, it's like almost like a way of like infusing himself with like Vex tech. You know, like how else does he travel time? And we've actually seen a little bit of mechanisms for that as well.
Well, I haven't seen too much of the, like I said, I haven't watched the video or anything like that. But what you're describing is something that like that Vex tech appropriation, like he is just setting himself up so he can travel just like them. I know that may be a little bit of suck eggs, Captain Obvious type situation, but that's how it looks to me. So I mean, like, there are some pretty fucking cool stuff that should come out of this. But moving right along, the next point that we have here. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, which is sort of why I was saying, like, I am pretty excited because it's pretty true to, like, D1 lore when it comes to the Vex. Like, you have the Vex, and, you know, so they're going to try to explain a little bit more about what they're trying to do, and you're going to get more about Osiris, and this whole idea that, you know, this is a storyline that involved the Vault of Glass, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and the Vex trying to combine themselves with, like, the law of reality and trying to, and, like, you know, we've got, like, missions in the Vault of Glass with Praedyth that they predicted their own death from Oryx and stuff like that, and they seemingly avoided it. So it's so cool. It's such a cool topic. I'm really excited for them to go back to the Vex.
Now, that being said, with all the lore aside, like just to go on a little bit of a tangent here, Bungie, please, once we scan something, put it into a codex.
Oh, God, man.
I don't think
I'm leaving it there.
That.
I don't think we're going to get that, but you know,
I think we'll get there eventually. But I think it's too soon. I think we're talking like, you look how long
it's to April update type situation.
So
the next point that we have
been developed for a while.
So the next point that we have is Sagira, played by Marina Baccarin of Firefly and Deadpool fame, and a few other things, which is another incredible actor that they've roped into to Destiny. So they've got, what was his name? Oded Fair, who's doing Osiris. Obviously, we've got the dude that plays, I can never remember his name, the dude that plays Zavala and the chick that plays Ikora.
Right.
And then we've got Nathan Fillion, who does Cade 6, obviously.
Profile,
so it's a very high profile, and I'm actually really excited to see a little bit more of that. But yes, she is the first female ghost. Apparently, she has a lot of opinions and thinks that Guardians take themselves too seriously.
People are pretty happy about that. People are pretty happy that we have a different ghost speaking. And look, this is the only gripe. Okay, I said I had two things at the beginning. And the first thing was Osiris's voice change, and the second thing, she's not the first female ghost. In Destiny 1, there was a Grimoire card that named two ghosts. One's called Obsidian, one's called Cassiopeia, and it was a female ghost. They're wrong. Get wrecked.
I think she's the first female ghost to appear in game.
Yeah, maybe fucking in commas appears in game. First female ghost.
Yeah. The first one that we can actually listen to, anyway.
That's me being super critical. They were the only things that I was like, not quite right. But you know what? Doesn't matter. It's actually really cool.
Do you kind of worry that it's just going to be a bit fail-safey again? But like, that's reading that sentence. She has a lot of opinions and thinks Guardians take themselves a bit too seriously. I can nearly read that in Failsafe's voice.
I think Failsafe was a bit of a flop, to be honest.
I don't know. I didn't mind it. It was
You like Failsafe?
Failsafe? I love Failsafe. I like the fact that you don't know which one is the evil one, whether it's the one that's very like sad and just be like, oh, you're gonna die, or the one that's very upbeat and says, oh, maybe, Doc, I say that there's a 36.5% chance that you will suffer evisceration. You know, which one's the evil one?
Is that because you identify with Failslave?
Who is the real sloth? No, I actually said.
So the next point that we covering off on is Ikora is Osiris's favorite student in this expansion will show her softer side. Now, I think it's delving into a little bit too much of the history of the Vanguard. But obviously, Ikora was Osiris's student. Student.
That's new though. That's new because we never knew that. We knew that Osiris was the speaker's student. That Osiris. Well, look, this is the funny thing, right? It talks in the Grimoire cards that the speaker took Osiris under his wing and saw great potential in Osiris and tried to teach him all this. And he was promoted to Vanguard commander and then sort of went batshit crazy. And there's also another card that says they entered as master and apprentice and they left as whatever. They left as enemies. And we've always assumed that was the speaker and Osiris because we had a previous Grimoire card that said the speaker took Osiris under his wing. So Ikora's never, as far as I know, has never been mentioned as the apprentice. So that is something new. That's something that they obviously wanted to, as you say, flesh out the Vanguard. And they've decided that Ikora should be the apprentice to Osiris, and so we'll develop. Because you know what, I sort of agree with that. Like I feel like we got more of Zavala in D2 opening, and we sort of had Cade. Cade's always been, well developed, and I feel like out of the Vanguard, Ikora is probably the least.
Yeah, because you kind of have those little bits of sort of emotiveness. I'll just make up words. On Io, sort of when you first go and find her, and then there's like 2 missions, one and done, you're back in Earth, and then it's Cade and Zavala and Hawthorne and everything's sort of back in the context of getting shit done rather than sort of developing the character. So I think in that respect, given that it's a character that's been around for 3 years, and you really, we know facts about her, but I think it'll be interesting to see how they flesh out this character that's sort of gone from superhuman to human to superhuman and how that affects them. I know that at the end of the day we play this game because we want to shoot stuff and blow stuff up, but when you can get a depth of character in there as well, I'm all for it. So, that's what makes Cade great. He can kind of predict how he's going to react, even though it's crazy. So that's because he's a strong character.
Because Ikora actually has a pretty interesting backstory, but her backstory is not about. She was like a wild spirit. Like she sort of traveled the galaxy solo with a shotgun, just blasting people. Like she wasn't the one to take advice from like a master. So it'd be interesting to see how they develop the Ikora's story. I think that'd be cool.
Well, if that's the kind of thinking that you're going down and moving into, then she probably felt abandoned by the speaker and Osiris, and just like, fuck this. I'm going out into the world. I'm going to shoot people in the face with invective. And people are going to cry for it to be nerfed, but that's just the way that it is.
No one ever cried for invective to be nerfed, man. Ever. Never had the range.
Anyway. Remember in Destiny 1 when we had a bunch of weapons that respawned ammo, guys? Holy shit.
Yeah!
That was a thing. Holy snap and duck shit.
Ammo. What the
Imagine how much that'd be worth in Callus now. Shotty that respawned ammo. Holy crap. Sign me up. Other returning character, Brother Vance. He'd be very excited that he's... it's kind of a weird dynamic when you think about it, that he kind of worships someone who is
super groupie,
a dude. He is. Yeah, that was kind of the thing that I took out of it, where they're like, oh, he's never met him, but he's really excited that he's coming. I'm like, what? Seriously? It sounds like a fucking 15-year-old girl and Ed Sheeran concert. It's weird.
Yeah, that was new as well. Like, I guess we sort of knew that Osiris inspired a cult of Osiris, but I've always been under the impression that they actually had met Osiris and the offshoot of that started a cult.
Yeah.
Not that they were massive groupies that like have never met him. Like, so
you're right.
That was.
Well, I mean,
And he's just like, fuck yes, this shit's happening. The gate's opening. We're on Mercury, boys. And they're like, okay.
This part of me just hope that he gets killed off in, like Osiris, and Osiris is like walks past him and just doesn't even acknowledge him,
Just
breaks
doesn't
his
acknowledge
heart,
him.
or just makes some smarmy comment. Nice shirt, buddy. Right?
He's the one. Brother Vance is the one that sells us out to the Vex because fucking Osiris just walked past and goes, ugh.
All right, come here. I'll sign your stuff. Then get on your bike and fuck off.
They're the colours picks for my cult. They're the colours. That fucking stupid flag. God damn it! Don't you know how to run a cult?
Fashion souls. It's destiny. It's like super cute. Anyway, moving on. So the Mercury. Mercury. We kind of knew this a little bit. Kind of. It has been vexified, but the Vex hauled up the planet core and made it their own planet. The Infinite Forest is the Vex's HCC Vive and can be entered through a gate, which is kind of interesting. It's like that's where you were saying there before, Matt, that you've actually got they've run thousands upon thousands of simulations to try and
just infinite. It's got infinite in the name.
Get rid of this.
So they asked the question: is this a procedurally generated area? Because so the way they were talking is like every time you go into the Infinite Forest, it'll be a different experience. So Deej was like, "Yo, dude, is this a procedurally generated area?" And he's like, "Definitely not. This is a crafted area with different experiences each time you enter." So it sounds like there won't be infinite numbers of possibilities, but you should have a different experience on a number of different times. I don't really know what that means. If it's just like, I have to watch it again. I think Deej was saying, oh, so there'll be different enemies. I imagine that we'll see Vex from the future, the present, and the past at different periods. Yeah.
I think it'll be something do you think there's any chance of there being any of the other races of enemies in there, really? When it's inside of Vex world, we're not going to see the Cabal just lumbering around, are we?
It's probably going to be the Vex, different future, past, present Vex.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you touched on, Sloth, was that I'm pretty sure I need to listen again, but I think they said it was the inside of Mercury. It was right at the core of Mercury, right?
Yep.
And you could see the crust of Mercury.
Yep.
So that actually, we never really know why the Vex convert planets. Well, we sort of had an idea that the conversion of planets was to sort of make a network of time gates. And that's sort of like Mercury's sort of at the center of that now, which is interesting because fucking the Leviathans, no, not the Leviathan, the Almighties come in.
It's crashed into it.
No, it's like, yeah, it's taken half the planet to make fuel to shoot the sun. Never thought I'd say that sentence.
So, why didn't the Vex do more to stop fucking old mate then? Gaul. Like, seriously, they were just like, no, you know what? We spent millions of years building this gigantic fucking computer inside a planet, but you know what? Put your fucking space station next to it. You're all good, buddy. Just ruin it. It's cool.
Put your Death Star next to it. It's all good, man.
Yeah, it's sweet, man. Just suck it all up and shoot it back in another planet. Yeah, kill this sun. It's all good. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a cool way to kind of, like, admittedly, the area outside with the lighthouse, it doesn't look enormous. Like, I don't know. Maybe you could go the other direction and it's bigger. Who knows? But it does look interesting, and it's kind of like really full on. There's this sort of solar wind that's always coming across. It's a different area than what we've seen in Destiny so far, to be sure. And then you get inside this kind of the core of the planet. You're looking up at the underside of the
that's cool.
The underside of the
crust.
Earth, of the mantle or the fucking whatever. I don't know.
Whatever Deej goofed up with when he made the geology. Yeah.
I can't call him out on it. I'm no better.
Well, they did say that, I don't know if it was in that area directly outside the lighthouse. They said they're going to have the largest public event ever. They're adding a new public event.
So, I saw this. I saw this
Yeah.
on Reddit, and I see it in the patch note in the show notes as well. Is this something that like multiple, like whatever instance, say the three of us are in a fire team in one instance, or they increase the instance, the fire team in that particular instance to 6, and there's 6, and it gets more difficult the more people that join, and is like you've got 3 gates per se, so you've got past Vex, now Vex, and future Vex.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just coming out. They're just it's the floodgates have opened. Like Timmy's pulled his finger out of the dike, and it is just coming.
What did you just say?
Timmy's pulled his finger out of the dike,
and
the dike is a dam.
Oh. Fucking move on quickly. Move on. Sound the alarm.
Yeah. Anyway, so you the more people that rock up to the event and all that sort of thing, the more difficult it gets. And then it spawns this gate lord that is like an incredibly large gate lord that is just like, nah, motherfuckers, you're not coming in here. And you have to do that public event to get access to a particular gate.
Is it?
Mate,
So
I don't know.
This is a good idea. I
think it's cool.
Well, look, this is the.
Did you think this up, or did you read this somewhere?
It sounds like you read it.
No. I haven't. I can't take credit for it. I didn't read it, but I have done something very similar in my World of Warcraft days. Where it just got more difficult and more difficult, and more difficult, and you do something. So that's that thing. So
let's be honest. The funnest times in public events is when you have 6 people that just keep chaining their supers. That's the best public event. That one on Titan with the Hive portal, and they just come out of the gate and everyone's just constantly refreshing their supers. That's a ton of fun. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think you can take public events too seriously. So you might as well just go make it mayhem public event. You might as well and have. The thing I was going to say is when you're in the lighthouse, you see when it's a public event. So if you watch the footage, right, and you watch the chat, when they went up to Brother Vance, the public event, everything goes dark.
Yeah.
Everything went dark. And chat's like, public event, question mark, like just spamming the chat.
It did.
And then they went outside. So I wonder if this is linking to what you're saying, Sloth, is that, public spaces, is this like a joint public space tower thingy where there's actually a public event attached to like a tower scenario? You got the lighthouse, which can hold 16 or whatever. Is it 16 people or 32? Did it change?
Honestly, I think it's kind of like just Devram being in the bell tower, man. But there is a gate that you need to get out of the lighthouse.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. They exist in the same space, but are separated by a gate. So you can just quickly flit down there, and it's not like a totally different area.
I guess. Oh, yeah. I guess it's like that. Yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
So that makes sense. I'm thinking of it as like a social space because the lighthouse was a social space, but it's not really anymore, is it?
I think it'll be
only
like
a social
area
space for the last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I'll take that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my assumption based on the way planetary vendors work now, and that Brother Vance is one. So, I don't know.
That's a good point.
It is a different deal though. I mean, there's all these sort of like other dudes just sitting around. There's a few other disciples, fanboys of Osiris, or whatever you want to call them. I think I'm going to stick with fanboys. I can't. It's just changed the whole. Thing on its head. Oh, Osiris, let's go.
But so to wrap up the story parts of the cast tonight, is there? So we've gone over the new public event, but the lost sectors on Mercury. So if you're one of those explorative type of people, they will not be available until you finish the story campaign. So you can go through, do the story campaign, do the strikes, and whatever you want to do. And those blue flag missions, what were they called? Milestone missions, I guess?
No, they're world quests.
World quests. So you've probably got world quests and all that sort of thing. Thank you. And you've got that.
So
but the lost sectors will not show up until they finish the story campaign.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you find log they sort of went like backwards and like that they were like they won't show up on your map, and then they almost made
it was
sound
like
like
they went.
it would once you finish the campaign. Then it almost is like,
that's
oh
the way
no,
I
it won't show up
understood it.
at all. I don't know.
No.
I'm sure.
What they
I'm sure
said
the
is
areas
that
are
they
there.
won't show up on your map until after you finish the campaign. I've read these comments so many fucking times today on Reddit, and it's right. They're lost sectors. Why the fuck do they show up at all? Go and find
They're
it.
meant to be lost.
Exactly. And there's a big freaking
You know what? That's
rainbow next to whatever you want to call it. I reckon it's a rainbow. Some fucking painting. You know, like...
Yeah, no, it's true. They
Go
shouldn't
and-
be marked. It kills all their exploration.
Yeah,
Kills
right.
it. I
That-
agree.
You shouldn't be able to
Get rid of
farm
it.
them for fucking reputation for factions either. But hey, let's move.
So the activities, the group activities that were also revealed this morning for us is the Heroic Strike playlist is coming back.
thank God.
I am a little bit excited for that because the strikes did not hold. Outside of doing a Nightfall 3, 4, 5 times, depending on how many consoles you play on or how many platforms you play on, rather. The
strikes were in a weird position, weren't they? With public events being so lucrative, the strikes were in this weird position. It was like, why would I do a strike for 20 plus minutes?
Yeah.
When I can smash public events, especially in the EDZ.
Yeah.
It was in this weird spot where you might as well grind, public events rather than strikes.
I think that's going to be its biggest strength too, because I think that, like us, and I'll admit to this, I haven't done that many strikes because it hasn't been lucrative. And now that they do, guess what? We get to get in there and do them all again. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't think we've had it clarified yet how many strikes come with the DLC. I'm gonna bet 1. That'll be my guess, or maybe 2 if we're really fucking lucky. But
well, look, we only got. How many did we get in the original D2? 4.
4 or 5.
3.
It was a 4, wasn't it?
No, it was
Not
3.
3.
What 3?
I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Sabathun Strike, Inverted Spire.
Sabathun. Oh, sorry, no. So the Cabal
Pyramidion.
Strike, Sabathun, Pyramidion,
Arms Dealer,
Inverted Spire.
No, Inverted Spire. That's a 4. Yeah, that's the 4.
What about
1
that?
for each race.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Which I thought they were good, right? There was nothing wrong with them, but the thing is, they were enjoyable, but they weren't worth the time.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
hopefully
not
this
at all.
rectifies that.
And Exodus Black. Yeah, that's also within 1 as well. So there's 5. I kind of miss the fact that you couldn't just I like the fact that you had the playlist in D1. But I kind of miss the fact that you can't just go do a specific strike in D2.
Yeah. As a
from
content creator, that fucking shits me. I'm sorry.
That is super. That is super frustrating for a lot of people, especially for me, because I really enjoyed just playing strikes. When I got Jack of Crucible or I didn't want to raid, I'll just sit there. I'll play strikes. It's mindless, but I enjoyed it. The worst strike in D1 was the PlayStation exclusive one from the year 1, which was fucking shit. Shadow Thief or whatever. No, not Shadow Thief. The one with the 3 scions at the end. I can't remember what it was on Mars. That was pants.
Dirt Eaters or whatever. It's got something.
Yeah.
We're getting on.
Sand molesters or something
people.
like that.
We're getting off topic.
Anyway,
So
I think that's a huge positive going forward. I think even having those playlists, because if you've got 3 mates and you're not particularly, or 2 mates and you're not particularly feeling like you want to play the Crucible, you can just sit in there and fucking roll on, get hopefully gear. I mean, I'm apprehensive with everything with Destiny 2 to say it'll be worth doing just out of hand because it depends what the fucking rewards are. But you'd like to think that they're gonna have to address that, and that'll be a big part of it. I'm sure we'll find out in the next two streams, right?
What strike specific allude, and people will play strikes. It's a simple equation.
Yeah.
Make the armor pieces unique. Please.
Yes, in the strike
even if it's just
specifically.
one.
No, but like actually unique, not just like a few bits taken off.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah,
it's not like Mr. Potato Head. Like not just taking the eyes off and putting on a fucking sad face or going, like no.
Just give us legendary versions of fucking Blue Gear. Seriously, I'd do it for that. Anyway,
so
all right, here's the big news, Slothy. Bring it in with it. I'm gonna do a drum roll.
Okay, do it. All right. So the new bit of raid content, the raid layer.
Oh my god! Wait, hold on. Can we just focus on that for 1 second?
Layer.
I swear to God, he said he alternated between lair and layer multiple times, and then he said raid layers. Like it was layers, but like
he did clarify it at the end.
Yes.
Thankfully,
I started tweet. I've got 400 responses on a Twitter poll asking if it was raid layer or layer before I got to the end because I was getting so frustrated with, is he saying raid layer or layer? Anyway,
layer.
So
they are heading back to the Leviathan now. Log and I were talking about this again pre-cast, and we'll bring this back in a sec. But we have new encounters. It is on the Leviathan again. So we went through the city of the Leviathan, I guess you could say. But the Leviathan being as large as it is, who knows how far we can go into the depths, the guts of it. Like it is humongous.
Yeah.
So we've got new encounters, new loot, new places to explore. It does not require a completion of the previous raid. Now, that was something that I missed completely. I actually thought that you would have to complete the raid to unlock the second part. Now, the reason why I say this is, like I said, Log and I were talking about this pre-cast, is that we fought Callus Bot to begin with, and he's now invited us to his personal fire team, I guess you could say. We are one of the people he can call on who can get shit done. He may know what the Vex are doing. He may know what is underneath his ship, or it could be more trials to actually get us to figure out and how strong we are, how strong we could be. Because we're not going to fight Callus here. I reckon he's going to be a semi-antagonist and a semi-ally.
I have a feeling, I need to read the book again, but in the Collectors, I don't know if it could be one of the betrayers of Callus. So the people that started the coup to overthrow Callus as the emperor are all listed in his book, and they've got some really cool artwork, including female cabals with like horns and shit and like scions and stuff like that. I wonder if he'll pitch, because this is still part of the game, I wonder if he's captured any of those traitors and he'll pitch us against them to destroy the people that betrayed him.
Wow, see, this is weird because we've all come at it from a different perspective, where I was like coming at it from the way of like, okay, so we've defeated his fucking stand-in robot. Okay, that was the first sort of chapter of our journey to get to him and stop the Leviathan. So this next part of the raid, or could be done concurrently, we're in a different part, stopping a different, part of his force to then ultimately face him at the end of like this 3 raid fucking pronged story effort. And then we end up in this gigantic fight against a Jabba the Hutt lookalike at the end, and we finally kill him, and then it's glory days. I think it's a way of like, for me, I see it this way. Like, you look at the Destiny 1 raids. Oh, this is the fucking supreme evil. Oh, you killed it. Cool. 6 months later. Oh, this is the supreme evil in the universe. Oh, you killed it. Good on you, buddy. Oh, guess what? Now there's another supreme evil. At least we're going to have these fucking sort of like, the raids are all going to be a connected story driving towards one logical boss that we need to ultimately do over. And
can I shatter your dreams and hopes?
You can totally, Matt. I mean, every day.
I'm well aboard the hype train because I'm a big fan of the Vex and I'm a big fan of Osiris. And to be honest, I really like the Leviathan raid. I really like the setup, and I think it's very open-ended with possible ways of chat. I think it was very clever. I do like the mechanics. I know everyone's not a fan of it, but I like the mechanics. I like the lore. I like the collector's edition lore. I like how it all suits together. I like the colors, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm a fan of it. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no, that's what I was going to say.
You were shattering my world, dude. Just get...
So, IGN, okay? Because we know we can trust IGN. But this is what concerns me. IGN uploaded a video that said the Curse of Osiris DLC is a bit flat. And the reason why I thought of this video is because you brought up that it being well interconnected. And basically the theme of that video from IGN was saying it seems like a very bubble. It seems like this doesn't mesh into the D2 story. And it seems like a similar problem that we've had with other DLCs that they've been developed in isolation. Now,
you know what?
Let
me just stop you right there, Matt. IGN know fucking nothing.
No.
They are a fucking fake news reporting site. Bollocks bullshit. Fuck off. Anyway, you can go on.
This is the top comment. Okay, this is sort of talking about what you're talking about. The top comment was when IGN says something's bad. It's actually bad. It's real bad. Which I really fucking hope they're wrong, and I hope it's bullshit, because this has, at the moment, it's meshing very well with the lore, I think. And how can it not? We had D2 was about the Cabal, so do you know? I don't know if it's just a lack of understanding of. I hope that people that don't know the D1 lore will get as much from it. Because imagine this, right? Imagine if you joined in D2 and you've only known the Cabal. Like, I've had friends from PC that have got a PC and they bought D2, never played Destiny. And they're like, man, what the fuck is going on? What are the Vex about? Like, just zero idea. Do you know, like that? If we only know about the Cabal. So if you step into Osiris as a fresh player, is that going to be very isolating? And maybe that's where you get that impression that this is just like a bubble. Is it going to be enough backstory to understand the Vex?
Yeah.
And at the moment,
does it seem like an aside?
I think, you know what? I think that's more on the person who did the video side, because there are thousands upon thousands of story-based Destiny content out there. And all I had to do was go youtube.com, search Destiny, search lore. Like,
I'll look at it.
It's not fucking hard, mate. Like, it's not hard. If you want to look, Google is right there. Like, obviously, you're not going to get the story. You're not going to get the story straight off the bat if you're new to Destiny. You're not. Because Destiny 1 had so very much, like, so much lore that I didn't even know about at the end of year 2 until I sort of met up with you buffhead. Like, I had no idea. No fucking idea.
You know what? I'll give you Log's fucking choice take on it. You ready for it? Do you want to know why it seems like the story for Curse of Osiris exists inside a bubble? Because it fucking does. Because we're talking about time travel and shit. It can't exist fuck, it has to. It has to be contained somehow. It has to sit aside from the rest of the story, because that's what it is by function. Like, oh, there's a guy that travels through time. Like, it is what it is. And like, I don't think that pertains to the raid, because I'm pretty fucking sure that Bungie didn't go to IGN, hey, just play the raid and fucking review that. Oh, by the way, don't tell anyone, because it's not like we're going to do worlds first. That didn't happen. And you know, I think that ultimately, yeah, it probably will. There probably will be a part of that, the whole Osiris content that will will feel like it stands apart, but it does that for a reason. I think like that will be.
That's a good point. I'm glad we had that discussion, because I was so on the hype train and I just felt these hands pull me off the train. And you just said, Matt, step back, mate. Come back on the train. Get back on.
I prized away the grim hands of IGN.
Right. He's gotten the shepherd hook and grabbed you by the neck and get over here.
Don't believe it, fucking naysayers.
Anyway,
back on the train. Let's go.
back on track. Is that it's not as lengthy as the original Leviathan raid. It is very challenging, and you will die a lot. Now, to quote Dark Souls, prepare to die. Guess what? The power level has gone up. Recommended power level is now 300, and the gear and weapons will scale with that. There will also be a prestige mode, which is kind of good. So I'm kind of excited. I just hope that the prestige actually gives me some loot that I actually care about, because I still very much understand.
They didn't address that.
That'll be in the gear.
It doesn't interest me, the prestige raid at the moment. Like, it was good. I did a multi the other day with the stream team that I'm in, a whole bunch of those dudes, and it was fun. I enjoyed it because we all had a relatively good idea on what we were doing. But even seasoned fucking Sherpas on Twitch really struggled.
Is that what you tried to invite me to, 2 nights ago or something?
No. It's just
good. Fuck that.
Anyway, but it's so. But
what they said was there was going to be. It sounded like there's going to be one new boss, and multiple encounters to get to that boss. So very similar to Callus. Callus was the one boss, and we had multiple encounters, but not as long. So take what you will from that. It sounds like there'll be one new boss and a number of mechanical, because the guys that were in there were talking about, like, what we wanted to do with Leviathan is make sure it had those mechanics to it. So I think we'll see some very not similar, but along the same lines of mechanical kinds of encounters that lead up to the boss, which will be good, because 300, man, like, fuck, that's gonna be tough. Like, you're not gonna want to be walking into that encounter until you've got a whole bunch of Osiris loot and you're rolling around at 320 or something, because at the moment it's 270, and
290 and then 300 at Callus, I believe.
No, it's 270 in Leviathan, and then it's 300.
No, I was talking normal mode.
Normal. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Prestige is what, 290 and then 300, and that's fucking rough. It's really rough. So you can't go in at the same level,
Yeah, just for a little bit more on that, the raid will be released shortly after DLC launch, probably very, very similar to the console launch release and PC launch release schedule of the vanilla game. Now, I'm just going to say I did not watch the reveal stream, but a lot of it says here on the run sheet that a new raid lair will be added with expansion 2, also in Leviathan.
Yeah, they confirmed that.
So that kind of that's kind of exciting that it's not just a one and done with Callus, because he's a very interesting character. Like,
it's a fucking interesting space. It's an interesting space. Like, it is a giant cosmic world-eating space fish. What the fuck else do you want from life? I want to go there. I want to know all about it. I want to drive the ship. Maybe.
Yeah. I just want to go and eat. I just want to go and eat the Jovian colonies. It's fine. Don't let Log behind the fucking wheel.
I'd be worse than Callus. I'd be way worse than Callus.
No, he's a being designed for excess. Oh, that planet looks all right. Fuck you.
Which planet do I eat to make fucking beer? Let's go. Straight there. Bushka. I don't know. I just think it's a great way. Like, when you think about, like, the lore and all of that sort of stuff that has gone on with the raids in the past, and they've all been kind of one and done deals, I think it really gives them the opportunity to dive a hell of a lot deeper and get a hell of a lot stronger. Like, I mean, admittedly, we don't have fucking Grimoire cards to be able to, like, if we were going through and unlocking more and more and more and more story, like the Taken King, which I think will be the gold standard for a long time to come with the Book of Sorrows and whatnot. But, like,
100%.
I mean, maybe it's not there for this. Maybe we just have to accept that we're not going to get, like, the codex for this. But fuck, I hope they've got to be listening. It's got to be something that they're looking at for the collectors among us anyway, to go and, I haven't got this scan yet. I'll go and, wander off wherever and find it. And, I think...
Unfortunately, I think if you put, like, lore in the pecking order, I think they've got a lot of knockout before they put a codex in, unfortunately.
I don't believe they do. I don't believe they do. But on that
I think
note,
I think the loot has to be sorted.
I think, yeah.
Coffee.
But like, before we move on, can I just reinforce what Locke said? Because I think that's.
I don't know. Sloth's mic was cutting off, so I didn't actually hear what he said.
He said, "Talk amongst yourselves." Look,
that's dangerous.
I agree with you. I think I saw so many people complaining reskins and bullshit. No, there was more than enough value in the Callus raid as a standalone. And what they've come to realize from their previous experience in Destiny 1 is they can't create a new raid for every DLC. But if they make a scenario that they legitimately can add different sections to, well, then they don't have to make the whole world again. Right. They can make one boss with new encounters. And I think that's a great idea. I'd much rather a new layer. Each DLC, I'd much rather that than a Prison of Elders.
Same here.
Than a Horde mode.
Same here. And I would rather 4 pieces of content this size all set in the one setting at raid level, like raid tier content, than one raid per year or thereabouts, which is basically what we saw in Destiny 1. You know, take out the Dark Below. It's a glorified strike. We know that. Maybe that's what this is. But I'll tell you what, we're going to get a hell of a lot more of it. And it's going to be
This sounds like Crota in the flavour of Leviathan.
Yeah.
It could be. It could be.
In the flavour of. It's just Crota, but everything's gold.
Can you imagine? Can someone... Wait, where's Gamma Trap? Can Gamma Trap please paint Crota's Throne World in Leviathan colours and then put on Reddit, it says leaked encounter.
just put it on Reddit. New raid content.
Oh my god, people will be so triggered.
Triggering the internet.
Reddit
Maybe we should start doing some of these things.
Fucking meltdown.
We always have
Gamma
these good ideas. We never
talked about this. We need, if you're listening and you're an artist and you want to go highly viral, just listen to our ideas. We'll make you viral.
Just get in touch because we can tell you these ideas on the down low, and you can just put a little Destiny Down Under logo in the corner of your fucking beautiful troll work, and we'll help disseminate it and get it out there and stir some shit.
La 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 la
but I mean, like ultimately, I walked away from it all feeling pretty positive about everything. I mean, we're not going to get every fix we want, and that is just the reality that we have to accept. If you're still here and you're still enjoying Destiny, then you probably come to peace with that anyway. You know, like it's she's not perfect. You know, it's not perfect, but you know what? It's a great basis.
Yeah, it's new. It's a good change. There's some few things that I will do some more investigation on and talk to a few people on and see what the what it's going to be, what the changes are going to be, if that makes sense. But just remember, like, it took 3 years for Destiny 1 to get where it was. You know, like you just got to remember that, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching the cast live, or if you're watching on YouTube, or listening to it on a podcast, your podcast site, it took 3 years.
Yes. Are we getting close to the end? Because I just realised we skipped something really important.
Yeah, we are. Go back, man. Sorry.
Forging weapons. We skipped over.
Oh yeah, fuck, we did.
Geez, yeah, god damn.
Sorry, dude. Yep, this is why I can't be trusted with writing up notes. Even though I write them up every week.
Forging. So in the lighthouse, a really cool in-game display that you can check to have a weapon, almost like a weapons vault for the Vex tech. And what you're doing is sort of copying Osiris with... So this is the thing they made really clear is Osiris was exiled with the clothes on his back, essentially. And then he incorporated Vex technology into it, which is why he's got like Sunbreak gauntlets with Vex tech.
Yeah.
So there was, I guess from that line of thought, there's sort of an implication that we might see, oh God, I hope we don't, like really similar armor to like D1, but like with Vexy things in it. I don't know. Was that hand cannon familiar to anyone? Was that
it did look a little reminiscent of maybe something else that I
get bogged down that. What you can do is next to this display in the lighthouse, and it has sort of these weird symbols, is a forging part, and I think they said materials or components. So there will be some collecting of some sort, which is great because that's what a lot of classic Destiny players like, collecting shit. So you'll be able to go out there. Maybe that'll be in strikes. I don't know. That would be. I mean, I'll do strikes of materials to forge a weapon. I would do an Osiris strike to forge a weapon. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, are they guns that we're going to unlock sort of procedurally as we go through the story? I hope they're not all tied to that. I'm sure they won't be. I'm sure there will be things that hopefully are RNG based. And I know that people get down on that, but I want it to be. They need to try and strike that balance again. They've struck out a couple of times with things are really easy to get in the base game. They're really difficult to get in Iron Banner. Maybe this is an opportunity to, the carrot we're always talking about. You chase the carrot, you got to get it eventually. Otherwise, you just feel gypped. So maybe they're out and about. Not everything's handed to you. I think that'd be a far better way to go. Otherwise, everyone's just going to have to fix that, right?
Ultra Studios has put a quote in here. Players will be able to unlock quests once the DLC campaign is complete, and completing them will allow players to forge Vex modified weapons. I don't know. So, take what you want from that. I'm not too sure.
That being said, this is my take on it from what I haven't seen, is that maybe the Vex tech modified forged weapons have something to do with the public event. It drops from that public event. You have to do certain quests to get it, but you have to get it from that particular public event, and you get a piece. You get a piece, and you put that into a particular weapon, and it gives you a random roll modification, i.e., Firefly or but it gives something. It gives things something to grind for.
To be honest, I think the forging. I think if the forging does well, it could be a trial to try to solve some of their issues with the end game. And if they see this big boost of all of a sudden you're like, all right, I don't know how you're going to get whatever materials, but whatever they do, if they see this massive bump in people coming back in the Destiny universe and grinding to get that shit, to get those materials to forge those Vex weapons, that's what we need to do. All right, how do we incorporate more forging into the rest of the game or future DLCs?
I like that idea. I like the fact that you get a quest line. You have to do certain things. You have to grind certain end game things like, I don't know, the raid, or whatever comes with the Curse of Osiris, or whatever comes in the future with the Rasputin DLC, blah 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 blah. And you have to grind it to get the build weapon that you want.
Ultimately, what you're talking about is exotic weapon quests from Destiny 1.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Yeah, if you've got a checklist, I mean, maybe you don't get the checklist. Maybe that's the rub. Maybe you've got to, it's going to give content creators something to do if it's not all spelled out. I'll go and get 6 bits of fucking whatever the fuck from this area.
They need to do that too. I think that adds a lot of mystery to it. And it's weird that the exotic quests don't have the same feel like they used to. Not Icarus? What's the fucking shotgun? Acris?
Yep.
Acris. I don't know. I have no desire to get that shotgun. Whereas in Destiny 1, I was like, dude, I'd be hitting people up like crack, oh, can you please do the prestige nightfall with me so I can get this exotic, or black spindle or whatever. It's I don't know why. I don't have any motivation to get that shotgun. I don't know if it just doesn't look cool or if it's just too unachievable. I'm at the complete prestige mode is the part that I'm on now.
The thing that I kind of see where you're coming from. I don't have any sort of want to do the Acrius again. I have nil by motivation to do that quest line. Just no motivation to do that quest line. However, if someone was like, you have to do a specific thing, like do the strikes and all that sort of thing. And you have an X amount of percentage of chance to get this particular drop.
Yeah.
I would sit there and grind the fuck out of it, because guess what? That's what D1 was. It was a grind.
Like Necrochasm, right? Look, that was perfect. You only had to do... Well, actually, it wasn't perfect. Some people were super triggered because it never dropped for them. But Necrochasm, there was a little bit of grinding to start the exotic quest, okay? You had to go... They introduced these hive into the play world, and you had to farm certain ones to get this thing. And all of a sudden, like, it just started dropping. People were like, oh my God, what's this? What is this? People deleted it. They didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I deleted it. I never had it. I fucking never got it again. Cunt of a thing.
Right?
Husk of the Pit. What a fucking asshole of a gun that was.
There was a little bit of grind.
But it was the start of something that you were like, which ended up being quite a good gun. At the very, very end of Destiny 1, people were using it in PvP. They were using it in PvE, and it was quite a good gun. It was quite a fun quest. I actually really enjoyed the quest. See, like, you only got that little orb thing from the end of the Crota raid, the Crota hard raid, once in a blue moon, and people like it was exciting to get. So I think that's where Bungie has sort of, gone wrong, if that makes sense. It's taken some of the holy shit, you got that, or I've just got fucking another fucking 40 Galahorns or another 40 Foe Tracers or something like that. It's like, why though? Like, does that make sense?
Why though? Yeah, it does. I mean, there's clearly rebalancing of the loot at the moment. Nothing seems particularly valuable, right? And I think that's the thing. Like, I think exotics are no longer standouts where they were. Even the same can be said for armor pieces. Like, man, I've had that Rat King's quest since the first day after I finished Endgame. Like, I got to Endgame, and I've still not done it. I just couldn't be fucked.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there's
for a
issues
sidearm,
there's
got
issues
rats on
with
it.
exotics. There's issues with exotics. Because the thing in Destiny 1 is that the carrot to get an exotic was often like, it was so versatile, it could be used really well in the raid. And the raid was challenging enough that if you had the right exotic, the right puzzle piece, it would make it a hell of a lot easier. For example, Axis. If you spent time getting one of the exotic swords, particularly Raised Lighter or the Void one, Dark Drinker, it was totally worth it, because then you could go into Axis and chop him up, or you could one-shot captains in Vosik battle. So there was incentive, like, oh man, I got to go farm all this shit on Mars to get these materials that only drop from 1 every 10, which means I got to get like 60 consumables, whatever, 60 elements to get this. But I know that when I get that sword, then I can go into the raid with more confidence, and I can, take out that a lot easier. And they always had that nice marriage. Same with Touch of Malice. All right, I need to grind to get Touch of Malice. I'm going to go get my calcified fragments so that when we get to Oryx and when we get to the Death Singers, I can sit inside the protected bubbles and have unlimited ammo with the scout rifle. Like, and that thing didn't affect PvP. That was a perfect PvE weapon. It was overpowered to shit in the right situation in PvE only.
I'm gonna do something that we haven't done for a little while, in that just open things up to chat. I'm gonna transition in a sec, okay. So that I just think that, like, we've got our thoughts and we're in such this space of no one really knows what's going on. If there's anything that you've got a burning desire for us to touch on, or that you have an interpretation of something that you think you're onto something unique or interesting or whatever, please let us know. Jump in there, and ultimately none of us know anything. We sit here and talk like we know heaps, but we don't. It's just spec. But I do really agree that there needs to be some kind of rebalancing of the importance of exotics, and I understand why that they kind of did what they did, in that they diminished them, in that they try to level the playing field, but at the same time you could only carry one. It was kind of your signature piece anyway. And I don't know. I just
Yeah. Anyway, well, we've had such a positive stream. I've been really happy. This has been a really fun stream. It's great to see a little bit of enthusiasm pumped back in. Because I think everyone was a bit burnt out, to be honest.
It was, but like as Sin said a few weeks ago, like we're in the upswing. People have played it. They've got their thoughts out there. Some of them are well thought out pieces of brain matter, and other ones are just loud screeching at the net because they don't like it. We are in an upswing, and people are starting to get a little bit more excited.
Optimistic.
There's hope that optimistic. Yes, thank you. That the game could be, but while there was a question here from Column Lies HD.
Yeah, it's actually something that occurred to me when I thought as well. So he says, "Have you thought about Osiris could die in the DLC?" The thing that kind of struck me was like, he gets his ghost, right? He's trapped. There's Vex all around him. He gets his ghost, throws it through a portal. The ghost is the one thing that can resurrect him. Like, is he in real peril there, Matt? Like, is he, or is it just because he's a time-traveling badass who could fucking warp whistle his way out of trouble? Like, is that why he's so blasé about it, or what?
So, I've got a bigger theory for all of this.
Righto.
But you're gonna have to wait. I'm working on I'm finishing it after, and I really hope it all comes together.
Yep.
And they heavily hinted at it in the thing, and it has to do with the ending, and it has to do with the ripple. And there is a very specific sentence that he says in the Vault of Glass that is obviously extremely intentional, which is he says they can see your light. And at that point, he gets very fearful for his ghost, which is why he throws it through the portal that he just opened up. I guarantee that will be a center point for this campaign. And the reason why those Vex came back to life when they were frozen in time, I do believe will be linked to that ripple of the Traveler opening. Fine, I've ruined it. Okay, this is my prediction. Okay, so I think...
Don't tell anyone if you're listening to this.
If you tell anyone, I was going to say I'll cut
the
you.
law will fucking find you.
The law will find you, okay? So I think what they'll do, even though they said it's going to take 2 months, it's going to take 2 months after we've won the Red War. I think, though, that cinematic could be juxtaposed to the Traveler reawakening. Because if you look at it, he's in this simulation and they're acting like it's all normal and they're frozen time essentially. And he's just wandering around. And then all of a sudden the Vex awaken and he says to his ghost, they can see your light. What happened to trigger that? And it seemed like completely normal for them. Like the ghost moves around and like moves the Vex arms and stuff, like super casual. Then it's like, oh, wait a second. Holy shit, they're reactivating. I think it would be really cool if you juxtapose, this will be in my edit, you juxtapose the wave of light of the Traveler waking up, and at that time, that's when Osiris is in the vault goofing around. And then all of a sudden, because we know that the senior lead or whatever said that that's what the Vex were waiting for, boom. I think the Vex now have got some more data or have got something on the light and simulation, and now all of a sudden, they can detect Osiris goofing around in their simulations. They're like, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, they can see you. So he grabs his ghost, throws it through the thing. Does that mean that he's in peril? I think the answer to that is like timey-wimey. It's like we've always said, like the time travel's always like, they could kill him off and then say, oh, that was the future. That was the future one in the Infinite Forest or whatever. And
this
then
is why Anon hates time travel, right?
Yeah.
It's like it makes
open.
everything mean nothing, but...
It's completely open.
But right.
Anon, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Get over it. Move on.
But the other thing, right? and you touched on it there, he throws the ghost out because they can see the ghost's light, right? Do we not as Guardians have inherent light? Like, is it not part of us as well? Is it not what drives our power?
I think so.
Does that then mean that Osiris does not have light? That he is altogether something different?
Well, look, I think when you start looking at, I think he's in the same category as Toland and Eris. I think, Toland. Do you still consider Toland and Eris a Guardian? I mean, Eris lost her ghost, has different powers now, has like these dark powers, can teleport you and speak in tongues and shit like that. And it's got 3 eyeballs, and Toland's flying around the Hive overworld. So I would put Osiris in that category that
they've transcended into something else.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the best word, because if you stick around Brother Vance in D1, he says, "I was once a Guardian too. Now I've transcended or ascended," something like that.
To a fanboy.
There is a whole he's a fanboy, but there's a whole section of like ascending more than a Guardian. There's a whole part around Osiris about ascension. So that's a really good question.
So Vibes put a question here. Since I missed the Infinite Forest talk, what are you guys speculating it'll be? Is it going to be PoE type of thing? So the Infinite Forest is, for lack of a better term, 3 pillars per se. The past, the present, and the future. And you go in there, and it seems what we've got here in the show notes, and it seems to be on Reddit as well, that it's going to be somewhat procedurally generated with certain enemies and certain. Like, I'm just reading what I'm saying.
Different. Not, they said it's not procedurally generated, but you'll get a different experience that they've crafted. So rather than it being random, you'll get a different experience when you go in, but that's intentional. And I don't know how that plays out, but whatever. Yeah.
So it's not a PoE. It's just there is a public event type situation. We speculated I personally speculated that all 3 trees open, and there's a way, like waves upon waves upon waves of Vex, and there's a lot of people in the public event, like the biggest one we've ever seen in Destiny as of yet. Which could be very interesting to say the least. So
ultimately,
it's going to be
your question. It's an area. It's
an area.
It's not an event like a PoE. It is more akin to a patrol space that is, by the sound of it, going to be different every time we move into it, or are participating in story missions based in it, or going in there to, for whatever reason. I imagine that there'll be parts of it that are tied to the story. There will be a specific way for specific parts of the story, and then change the next time you're in there. I think there will be possibilities for when you are in there not tied to the story on patrol. So I think it'll be interesting to see really how much depth it does have, because the whole procedurally generated thing started in a fucking IGN article 6 months ago. The Infinite Forest, they saw the name and said, "Oh, will it be procedurally generated?" I don't think anyone would have assumed that had they not said that, and I don't think it was ever really on the cards, because I don't think you can get the quality of the finish of something like Destiny, at least in terms of visuals and all that sort of shit, if it is procedurally generated. Aside from maybe having fucking teleporting Vex blocks around, it's not going to be at the level. So I'm comfortable with what they've done. I think to call it what they've called it is probably, and to acknowledge that fact that there is going to be a lot of possibilities, is that there'll be enough there to be interested in. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna ask this question to you two fine gentlemen. I don't really want to go on with it for too long, because it is a fucking red herring of a question. However, Man at Arms has asked at Mylan Games, have you considered that since we are time traveling, that it's possible that we are responsible for retconning Destiny 1's story, that we are being spoken to by the Exo Stranger through her radio? I know that she has been, for lack of a better term, written out, but
it's
God bless you, Rick.
I so want that to happen. I so want there to be a masterful recovery from the shitstorm of D1. and to have such a cool storyline with a twist in it. But the precedent at the moment is unlikely. Do you know, like, I'm still waiting for that big delivery from Destiny's story. And we can see there's so much potential. And I think if any storyline has the most potential, it's the Vex as well. Because, like we said, it opens up this massive possibility to go back and revisit stuff in a unique way and to fill in gaps. And especially with our Grimoire cards, what I would give to go back and see Dredge and Yor and Shin Malphur and the showdown at Dwindler's Ridge. You know, like... There's so many. I've been wanting like flashbacks missions for so long as a way of storytelling, and the time travel thing not only adds a way of reconnecting to D1, which I think, to be honest, will be a massive missed opportunity to reconnect with Destiny 1, which they're sort of already doing, right? They're doing that with the weapons and the Vex forging and stuff like that, but it offers this big opportunity to reconnect with Destiny 1's story as well, and even with a twist. If you've got time travel, you got to put a twist in, surely.
I agree. I think there is. There's
That's
so
a great
much potential
question.
there, and it's
There's so much potential.
Yeah,
there's so much potential.
I don't want to get too carried away because I know that we've all got such lofty hopes.
See, that's the thing. I'm just like pushing it down now. I'm just like, it won't happen. And one day, but in my little soul, there's a little slither of hope that it'll be like, it's all a dream. Oh,
but see, like, that's the thing. Like, the other side of the coin is that will piss people off too. Like, to then go, guess what? None of this shit ever even fucking happened, and it's all ultimately redundant. And guess what? We're back at square one. Yes. And people will be like, what the fuck have I been sinking my time into for 6 years?
You know what? That whole timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly going back in time and retconning the story and all that sort of thing, that's fine. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like Flashpoint from the fucking Flash comic series. There's going to be a whole bunch of changes. No one's going to like it. People are going to be upset. Mum's upset. Dog's dead. Truck's broken. It's going to be like a country song. Anyway. So there's a question here another question from Colin Lyons HD, actually. Do you think that we could hear/see more about Saint 14? Because as I remember, the last thing we heard about Saint 14 is that he was headed to Mercury. And Matt, I think he just had a lawgasm.
Yeah. You know my lawgasm face now.
Yeah.
We've been hanging out too much. All right. Yes. So, yes, 100% correct. The last time we heard from Saint 14 is he gave old Papa Speaker a call, said, yo, what's up, Papa? And he said, what's up, son? And he said, I'm going to go head to Osiris. He's about to wake up hell. Catch you later. I'm heading to Mercury, the Caloris Basin. We should. Once this is in the basket for me. That is like, I just need them to deliver on something now from the law. I need them to.
You need a tidbit.
I need a tidbit. I need to see a speckle of Saint 14, and just go, yes, finally. Like, you know, like I need that.
Just that little, a little nod, just a little bit of dialogue from Osiris that covers it. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so many hooks at the moment, but none of them follow through. That's the thing. The scannables draw you into this whole like conspiracy about Prince Aldrin and freaking the House of Kings and the Awoken, but it doesn't go anywhere. You've got all these like pieces of string that you can unravel, but they lead nowhere if you keep pulling at them. I need one of them to lead somewhere, because this is my thing. When I make content, it's about exploring, and it's exciting because I try to make you think it's possible. Okay, that's the goal of a lore video, is to entertain you by presenting facts and making you think that could happen. And the thing is, if I keep doing this for years and years, and
none of it happens.
It unties the process of making a lore video, okay? It ruins the imagination of it, because it just needs to happen once, and then go, oh, holy shit! They were all clues. There was a breadcrumb trail leading to this, and if I paid attention enough, I would have known that. okay, now I want to go back and look at the scannables. We've got the breadcrumb trail. We just need the sucker punch.
Absolutely.
And we've got one more question from Cog Fallen. Destiny Down Under. Could you say that Toland and the Guardians of similar nature could have a mixture of light and dark if that's the case, Matt? I know that you've looked at this per se as Dark Guardians and Light Guardians.
Toland and who? The
Eris. Well, basically
Eris.
what we were talking about before. The Guardians that have become more than or, alternative Guardians. Alt Guardians.
Yes. So we do sort of have Dark Guardians in the form of the Shadows of Yore, who were introduced. Once again, another great breadcrumb trail. Just give me a dark. I don't care. Just talk about a Dark Guardian somewhere and the Shadows of Yore, or just a snippet of that, and that would satisfy me in that area. Like, so the whole story of Dredge and Yore was he sort of told his ghost to go away and considered himself, if you read it carefully, sort of considered himself like the ultimate sacrifice, and that everyone else was wrong for following the Traveler and the Light, and that he was sort of gaining all this power. Very like Star Wars Dark Side, like come get all this power sort of deal. And then he inspired, similar to like Osiris, like a cult following called the Shadows of Yore. Now I can't remember all the lore when it comes to that. I'm a bit hazy on that, but essentially that is what happened. And we've got weapons like that, from the Books of Sorrow, Thorn, which like drains your light, like drains the light of Guardians to like perma kill them and stuff like that. Look at Oryx. He's the best example of like using the darkness, and it mirrors Guardians. The Traveler is an agent of the light and gifted us powers to use the light. Oryx spoke to the worm gods, who allowed him to use the powers of the darkness. Well, it's more complicated than that. He ended up taking them, but hence the Taken King. But he claimed them. And so there's definitely a mechanic for us to use those powers too, if we wanted to. And there are characters like the Shadows of Yore, which are going down that path. So once again, lots of breadcrumbs, no real sort of conclusion yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing that people have got to remember, that the Destiny is a lot of breadcrumbs and a lot of things that haven't come to fruition or never will in that respect, i.e. like the Exo Stranger and so on and so forth. But thusly, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of question time. We're going to go into the content review really, really quickly. Now, each week we watch a fair amount of YouTube and streams and all that sort of good stuff. And we usually sort of panic at the end, at just before the podcast, and go, "Oh shit, we need to find some content that we love." But
that depends on which one of us you are.
Yeah, well, if it's Matt and I, then we just panic.
I'm doing it right now.
What's your bit of content this week, mate?
Mine was the easiest. I mean, everyone's seen this by now, right? But the Deadpool 2 trailer. Right.
I haven't seen it.
Holy fuck! Basically, it is Deadpool dressed like Bob Ross painting. And it'll change your life. It is just the most anti-trailer ever. It's got about 15 seconds of actual movie footage, and the rest of it's just piss farting around and dick jokes, and I couldn't be happier with it, to be perfectly honest. So that's mine. I mean, I know it's a gigantic corporate fucking contraption. It's not some battler making content out in the sticks, and I'm shining light on someone that could do with the spotlight. Nah, fuck it. I'm gonna go with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool and 20th Century Fox. You can fucking have it for a week.
So, Matt, what's your bit of content, mate?
Okay, look, I've just looked at my YouTube history and I've got 3 videos that I actually really enjoyed this week. The first is a channel called Battle Nonsense, and it's a guy that, like, I don't know, does a really good job at like testing netcode, but he also explains it to idiots like me about its servers and tick rates and stuff that I've already forgotten. But, like, puts it in a way that you can understand what's happening, and does a comparison to PUBG and Battle and Fortnite because they use the same servers, Amazon servers, and they're on the same engine. I think Fortnite leases it to PUBG. So it was. I found that technically a really interesting video to watch because I've never really understood when people were talking about those kind of things and what causes lag and all this kind of stuff. It's if you want to learn more and not just like rage about lag and actually like understand a bit more about how it happens, that's really cool looking. So that's called Battle Nonsense, and I'll put that in the chat right now. The second one, I know you're not a fan, Sloth, but Dr. Disrespect, I'm a fanboy of Dr. Disrespect. I think what he does entertainment wise on Twitch is exceptional, and his speech for winning the winner of the Streamer of 2017 was really cool. It was really good.
Listen, I don't enjoy the character. But the dude behind the character, Guy, very, very intelligent dude. Yeah. Plays the character well. There is a reason he's at the top. The little tidbit that I'm going to add on to that is the thing that popped up on Twitter for the post-show chat with him, and he was pissed as a fart. he was fucking drunk as a skunk, and he was talking about, if you think you're at the top of the mountain, you're only halfway up the mountain. Sure. What will I tell you? He's like I said, I don't enjoy the character, but the dude behind it, I will give him props. Guy, he's a very intelligent dude, and he has worked his ass off, and he absolutely deserves that. So GG's to that.
Yeah, and essentially his speech was like, he actually started to cry. He's not going to say it, but he started to cry. He was like, I've learned to understand that a lot of people have shitty fucking lives, and they come to this stream for entertainment and to escape from one moment and to feel good about themselves and to have a good time. And he does, for being on the cusp of like crude, he balances it so well. And he's spoken about that in like the Hayes Street podcast about like, you know, I've got fans that have family. I don't swear. I didn't even realize it. I could, if you asked me if he swore, I'd be like, yeah, of course it's Dr. Disrespect, but he doesn't. He talks in metaphors, which, you know, is another way of dancing. Anyway, I think that's worth a watch if you're into Twitch, which probably some of you are, considering you're watching this on Twitch. And the last one, one more. Sorry, I'm hogging this one, but this one is just. You're right. Mr. Fruit has got a new dog called Olive, and it's a corgi, dude, and it's awesome. The cutest fucking thing on the planet. Hold on, I'm gonna post this Dr. Disrespect first, and oh my, just seriously, I actually laughed just because of how fucking cute this dog is. It is so funny. So if you just need a good like pick me up, just go watch some puppies, and you might as well watch Mr. Fruit. To be honest.
Yeah, right.
You might as well.
Has he started a series of him just narrating his dog's actions yet? Because I'd fucking watch the shit out of that.
Oh, wouldn't ya? He's good.
Oh my God, zany as fuck voiceovers.
He is a fucking great content creator. He's a great. Yeah, I really good. Actually loved watching the. It's a 2D Kingdoms game. I can't remember what it is, but it's I watched the full series of that, and I've just been. I sat outside, like I sit outside with a coffee and a cigarette every morning, and I sat out there for 3 hours watching that shit back to back. Oh my goodness!
All right, Slothy, what do you got, brother?
Log's done his funny thing. Matt's done his cute, touchy-feely thing. I've got somewhat like I don't really change who I watch on YouTube, but
is it Jim
one
Sterling?
game has been one game has been released. One major release has happened this week, which is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has been such a fuck fight when it comes to like microtransactions, all that sort of thing, and it is like putting characters behind paywalls, and Oh yeah, it's something like it. Yeah. So my content is Jim Sterling's doing this.
Got him.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go and watch it before bed, man.
Jim Sterling tearing apart EA and really giving it to him. And in his sarcastic tone, which Jim Sterling is Jim Sterling. Jim Sterling does what he does. It's a good watch, and it's not one of those things like if you're easily angered by corporate greed, watch it, but watch it in a place where you're not going to throw your iPad, phone, computer through the wall.
Get a lanyard for your wrist with your device, so you.
Did you see about Reddit?
Yeah.
With the most disliked post in Reddit history.
In response to Reddit just destroying EA, God. They went on there and answered a whole bunch of questions about the game, and they're like put this post out trying to defend itself. And EA, you're more than you are. You can defend yourselves, but don't go to Reddit. Because now that particular post by that particular EA representative is now the most downvoted post in Reddit history.
Yeah, that's not a
dude.
Title
It had like 400,000 dislikes.
It's just, you know what it is? It's the
Reddit reply.
It's that remember that Call of Duty trailer that came out and it had like more dislikes than like 1 million dislikes. The most disliked video of all time on YouTube. You can't open yourself up to this shit. The other thing touching on that, Sloth, I read an article. Remember how there was the EA dev, the guy who worked for EA that came out and said that he'd been getting death threats and all of that shit? Well, guess what? It turns out that he's not even anyone who's ever worked at EA. He's just some guy fucking claiming that he worked at EA. There's been... I'll find the fucking article and I'll chuck it in. It's my other piece because I love a good bit of investigative journalism. I thought, you know what? If we don't get enough of that in the games industry, people getting to the bottom of things. And I can't remember the bloke's name who wrote the article, but he managed to trick this guy into responding to him and then asked him point blank and then was instantly blocked. So like, yeah, it was all just bullshit. Like he basically asked contacts and stuff. He's like, this guy's named such and such. He says he does this. He doesn't exist. So it just goes to show how quick. And that was a big story. It was in fucking New York Times. It was in bloody non-gaming publications about how gamers are sending death threats to developers of games, which I'm sure does happen. And if it's happened, if you are somehow listening to this and it's happened to you, I am genuinely sorry. But it just sucks when some fuckwit jumps on the bandwagon and does something like this and gazumps everyone and swindles the world, so to speak.
That's funny, man.
He's literally just like... I saw that, and like you said, I'm sure there are people out there who receive death threats for whatever reason, because the anonymity of the internet that we have spoken about multiple times, the anonymity of the internet is one of those things that just happens, and it's bullshit, and it is what it is. But on the other side of the coin, you just to the dude who did that, you're a fuckwit. Don't put shit in your Twitter profile. I work for EA. That is almost as bad as someone coming onto Call of Duty or whatever and going, my dad works for fucking Activision. No, shut up. Stop being a cock. Pull your fucking head in. Get some life experience. Look at yourself in the fucking mirror.
All right, it only took us an hour and a half. It only took us an hour and a half to get into a good top tier sloth rant.
Top shelf.
Oh, top shelf, man. You've done well. You got it in. You shoehorned it in at the end. It was beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But, hey, apparently that was a Kotaku article too, so it's about time something fucking good happened at Kotaku rather than just puff pieces and bullshit. Anyway, let's not get into that.
About as good as IGN when it comes to reporting on shit. But thusly, I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the podcast. Let us know what you think of the what's coming up in Destiny. People in the Twitch chat, thank you so much for the questions and hanging around and chatting and doing the things. You guys are absolutely amazing. The support for the three of us here on the podcast has been incredible. So thank you guys so very much.
It's one of those things. I think we often gloss over it when we say thank you and we leave, but this is genuinely the high point of the week for me, and I think I speak for all three of us that just getting in here and getting to just nerd out for fucking 2 hours and talk to everyone and canvas everyone's ideas is fucking unreal, especially when there's a content release like this. So just remember, we're in the upswing. If you're if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on iTunes, tweet us, tell us what your ideas are, because we love to hear that sort of stuff. Everyone's got their own unique take on things. So let's get into it. And beyond that, we're gonna pay a visit once we hear from Matt's creepy law dude about we're gonna go and visit Fractured Winky. Jesus Christ, it is like nearly 1 a.m. for me.
Oh my God, is it?
Yeah, I am struggling big time. I was just sitting here like fully spacing out, and then Sloth started ranting, and it just reinvigorated me. So anyway.
Hey, listen. The law will find you. The law has already found you. The law will find you again.
Ooh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been Destiny Down Under. We'll catch you fucking next time. Yeah.
Or maybe we've already caught you and you just don't know about it yet. Bye.